Hello everyone, my name is David Joe and I'm the Chief Personnel Officer. Today I'll be going over some personnel trainings. So before we start, here's a list of topics that we'll go over today. First part is the recruitment techniques, and then second part is about office management. So for recruitment techniques, we first look at two types of interviews. For recorded ones, it is more flexible for applicants in a sense that it allows them to craft better answers beforehand. For live ones, it is more direct and you'll be able to observe applicants' instantaneous responses. So we'll focus more on the live ones. You should inform applicants ahead of time about the time and place of their interview and providing them with a chance to email you about any questions they might have. You could use the WeJoin link on the right of the screen to let applicants sign up for their slot. Don't forget to mention time zone differences so that applicants know what time you're interviewing them. Yeah, before we talk about actual interview techniques, let's first discuss why you should delay intuition when you're hiring people. A study from the University of Toledo reflecting this concept found that outcome of an interview could be predicted by judgments made within the first 10 seconds of dialogue. Basically, interviewers may subconsciously make snap judgments of a candidate right off the bat and spend the rest of their time together seeking new information to confirm this impression, rather than objectively assessing the person in front of them. So we call this, confirmation bias. Now let's jump right into some interview techniques developed by Daniel Kahneman, an award-winning behavioral economist. So yeah, first thing is that we should always avoid overstaffing. Overstaffing causes inefficient communication and a lack of focus. You should determine how many departments you need, the director-intern ratio, and what kind of specific, skill sets that you're looking for. Second, select a few prerequisites for success in this position. There are some tips that, don't select more than 6 dimensions, and then each trait should be as independent as possible. So for example, if you're looking for executives in your office, you might be looking at, he or she or they must be a critical thinker, a strategist, and a talent finder. So you see these three things do not overlap with each other, which makes them independent. Thirdly, make a list of factual questions for each trait, and then use a scoring scale like 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, or whatever you prefer, and then have an idea of what you will call very weak and then very strong, like, what 1 means to you and then what 10 means to you or 5 means to you, and then collect the information and score one trait at a time so that there will be no bias in the process. And last, set aside some time for qualitative questions. And now we'll go more deeper into qualitative questions. Here are some list of questions that you could consider using. So in my case, my personal favorite was the hypothetical ones. Yeah. Next up, at the end of the interview, you should set aside some time to inquire applicants' workload for their upcoming semester to better gauge their commitments. Also, it is a good practice to have a backup plan if your new hire end up leaving your office, but you need to have that plan ahead of time. A director shadowing mechanisms could smooth your new recruit's transition into your office, and I think it could be an ideal solution to avoid the loss of intern or staff members inside your office in the middle of the semester. Yeah, now we'll transition into the topic of office management. So there are 3 office operating principles that should be applied at all times, whether it be in person or remote online. First is clarity and transparency in your expectation and guidance. You could have a checklist on Google Sheets so that the members can check off tasks that they completed. You may also create a Google Sheet for meeting attendances and making time updates. This may also apply to office rule execution, news updates, and so on. Second is you should always facilitate engagement and encourage communications across different departments of your office. Ask those who missed the meetings to review meeting notes and do a phone check off. Set up chats with members who have missed a lot, keep them updated, or just get to know their life. And thirdly, you should always provide flexibility for your staff members. Don't forget to check in with your staffs if they have personal difficulties. Command and control is not the only way for office management. Always remember that. Aside from the guiding principles, work delegation is a craft that all leaders should learn. Successful delegation is being able to utilize the individual talents for everyone in the team. When done right, total productivity will increase, the workflow will be smoother, and task management will be way less troublesome. I think the third point is really important in the sense that it allows your staff to grow and take on more responsibility over time. Yeah, that's it for the training. Please email me if you have any questions regarding what I talked about today or what I talked about in the previous presentation about bylaws. My emails are below. Yeah, thank you everyone for listening or watching this.